Now in this part of the video we're ready to actually start creating our final map product. So in order to do that I have to add some common elements. That would include things like a title, a north arrow, scale bar, legend, notes on the source of the information I'm showing on my map, and any other things that I feel I need to include before I have a final product. Up until this point I've been working exclusively in the data view, which we still have active, and you can see it by the little globe that's selected here. What I want to do is now switch to the layout view. So to do that I click on the thing that looks like a little piece of paper, and that gives me sort of a print preview for my map. Now right now the only thing that essentially I have represented on my map is the data frame, and ArcMap by default will put this outline around it. I generally like to remove the outline, so the first thing I'm going to do is select my data frame, right click on it, go to properties, and making sure that my frame tab is highlighted, get rid of the border. Now of course if you would like to, you could pick a different border, you can even add a background, perhaps a drop shadow, do some other things. But for now I'm just going to get rid of the border, click OK, and if I want to I can also adjust the map a bit until I get it to a point where I'm ready. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Pretty much all of the map elements that I'm going to need from this point forward are going to be located under the Insert menu. And if I skip the first option to add a new data frame, I can essentially tick down the list and begin adding elements. So first thing that I'll start with is a title. And these map elements are pretty easy to use. I can simply double click on them to change the text. I see that I also have some options down here, so if I'd like to pick a different font I can do so. I can change the point size, I can make the title bold, etc. Now once I've begun to add my elements, they're very easy to change and edit. If I want to resize my title, it's pretty easy to do so. Next, if I want to add some explanatory text about the map, I can do so. Another good way to do this is just by selecting title again and changing the font and the point size. I can skip neatline for now, but essentially it's going to add a neatline around all the elements on my map. But I do want to spend some time working with the legend, so I'll click the legend option. And the legend wizard will essentially identify all the layers that I have active or available in my map, and which ones I actually have drawn. So if I see something in either list that I want to change, I can select it and move it with the arrow. Essentially what this means is that my legend right now will only represent my diabetes ever variable, and I like to simply go through the entire wizard by clicking next until I'm done, then readjust where my legend is going to sit and make my final adjustments here. Now to get back to my legend properties, I can simply double click on it. First thing I like to do is to remove the word legend, since most people looking at a map will know what a legend is. I can unclick the show button. If I want to, I can change the patch that represents the actual shape. So if I don't like the rectangles, I can change it to say something else. Now when I click on the Items tab, if I've decided that now I have something listed in my layers that I want to add to my map, I can select it, add it back to the list. But in this case, I'm going to take a look at my other options. If I want to add a border, a background, or a drop shadow to my legend, I can do that here. But otherwise, I'm pretty much done. So I'll click OK, see how my legend is shaping up. One final thing I may actually want to do, I've realized that the type of legend that I've selected isn't perhaps the best for this. I'm actually seeing the name of the layer and the variable that I've selected, so maybe I want to get rid of one of those headers. I can double click on the legend, click on the Items tab, and with whatever variable, if I had more than one layer listed here, with whichever one that I want to work with, if I have it selected, I can click the Style button and pick another way to represent that legend. And ArcMap comes with a number of nice pre-configured options. I can select one, I can see the legend redraw here in the preview window, click OK, OK, and that looks maybe like something that I want for my map. So I'll adjust it as appropriate. And over here, now remember, you can rename the variable, the column, and it's not going to actually hurt the data in any way. So don't hesitate to do this. Because it's pulling from the diabet2 header, I'm going to just rename it here to %diabetesever, so it's represented correctly on my legend in a way that means something. That looks better. Going back to the Insert menu, now maybe I want to add a north arrow. I'll pick something I like. Place that on my map. Next, perhaps a scale bar. Now, in this example, one thing that will happen is the map units for my layer are actually in feet, so my scale bar is going to be in feet, which obviously won't make a lot of sense. So I want to change my scale bar simply by double-clicking on it and changing the division units to something a little more manageable like kilometers or miles, and clicking OK, and resizing the element as appropriate until it sort of makes sense. Now you may see some extra breaks in your scale bar. If you want to remove some of those, you can do so by getting rid of some of the divisions and subdivisions. So I'm going to set my divisions to 1 and my subdivisions to 2 and see how that looks for my scale bar. And that makes a little more sense, right? So I'll click OK, and my map's beginning to shape up pretty nicely. Now if I had a logo, something else, I could add it. Otherwise, I'm pretty much done. Oh, I forgot one very important piece of information, of course, the source. So let me add the text element, which I skipped earlier. Now, this can be a little confusing. It places a very, very, very small text element right in the middle of your map. So it's not uncommon that when you're starting to add elements like this, that you may accidentally do this one or more times because you don't see it. What I like to do is, of course, because I know it's going to place it right in the middle of my map, just drag it down, double click on the little element, and change it here. Whoop. There we go. And give the map some source information. Something like that. If I want to, I can change the font size this way. but alternately I can always select it here as well. And we are almost done. So making any final refinements that I want to the map, when I'm ready, I can go to the File menu, go to Export Map, pick the file type that I'd like to export the map to. In this case, I'm exporting to a PDF. Export the map, and now you have something that you can email around, put in a presentation, document, report, whatever. It's a fully functional map.